Since the beginning of the anti-lockdown protests, we've been saying that the obvious end result of these efforts is going to be that some of the people that participate it get diagnosed with coronavirus, and our fear is that some of them might eventually die as a result of that. Well, we don't have that necessarily just yet, but we do have one fairly ironic spin, and that is that one of the leaders of Reopen NC, the movement against Governor Roy Cooper's stay-at-home order, posted on Facebook that she tested positive for coronavirus. This is Audrey Whitlock, who we previously talked about on the show, actually, missed the group's first two rallies while she was in quarantine. She wrote on Facebook that her quarantine ended on Sunday and ended her post with, "See you Tuesday." So at this point, it looks like she has mostly gotten through it. She says that she is either totally or mostly asymptomatic. So that's good. I don't want anyone to suffer or die from this virus. But she is telling people to ignore the stay-at-home orders, ignore the social distancing, and get out there and contract the thing that she was apparently lucky enough to not suffer from.
I don't know. It's tough to be sympathetic. It
Yeah.
really is, because they know what's happening, and maybe they're misguided, and maybe part of it is that they're being forced into this situation, like we mentioned earlier. It's like a lot of people who I've just known and just maybe have just different opinions than me, and I think mean well in general. I think a lot of people I know personally, I just think that they're forced into the situation where they have to choose between going back to work or going broke. And that's not a situation they should be forced into. And I'm not saying this is every person at that protest. And I think there are elements of like hate groups embedded in some of these protest groups. But it's tough to be sympathetic for people who are in this situation, because you know what's happening. You should listen to health guidelines, and you should listen to CDC guidelines and stay at home orders, because again, like we just mentioned, it's not just about you, it's about people around you and spreading it to people, and how you can give it to one person who might give it to an elderly person in their home.
Yeah.
It's more than just you. But again, like I really want to hammer the point that like they should not be forced into the situation where they have to go back to work into these tough situations. And I do know people who want to get back to work because they are broke and they have no income.
Yeah.
And they feel like people who, like you and I who have work right now, they feel like we're just saying that because we're in a position of privilege. Maybe, but like it's ultimately that the government should step in to help you. That's the solution.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say that we have a position of privilege, which we certainly do in a number of different ways. I think an important follow-up question is, what are you using that position of privilege to accomplish? If you have been lucky enough to be given a platform, what are you using that platform to accomplish? We're saying the government should be doing everything it can, which is far more than what it's doing, to stop people from having to choose between their health and their economic future. That is not what everyone is doing. Like how many people in conservative media right now, wealthy people, heirs to frozen food fortunes, are out there saying these quarantines are a complete waste of time. You should go back right now to work, and if you die, sad for you, I'm going to be okay. Who's doing that? Trump was exposed to coronavirus early on. Everyone seems to have forgotten that. Was lucky enough to have not gotten it. He's now being tested every week because while he seems to want to imply that this is not serious, he's obviously taking it seriously. He got through it just fine, and now he wants everyone else to go back out there and get exposed again. Yes, some people are insulated from it more than others, but it all comes down to what are you using that privilege for? And, people like this, the organizers of this, who are being given money by these billionaires and by these organizations that are always there to prop up these astroturfed right-wing organizations, she's apparently going to be fine. And she doesn't seem overly concerned with if all of the people that follow her call and go out in the streets, if they end up being fine.
Right. That's an important point. Like these efforts, some people are going there because that's what they believe, but the organization of these and the promotion of these was largely a coordinated effort, and likely, probably from a handful of culprits, all of them reflecting corporate business interests.
Yeah.
These are people who this is affecting their bottom line. So they propped up all of these Facebook events and appealed to people who are misled and misguided by right-wing media in conning them into thinking this is about their freedom or their liberty or their autonomy or whatever. When really it's just that these companies want these people to get back to work. So it helps them, it boosts their profitability, it boosts their revenue. It's not about freedom or liberty or anything like that, because you're like literally jeopardizing other people's health and safety. This is like Koch brothers and Alec and groups like
Mm-hmm.
that, and the companies that they represent who are pushing this idea. It's absolutely bogus, and I wish people would just realize this.
Yeah, yeah, and honestly, look, as we've sort of been saying from early on, the most important reason to not prematurely reopen is concern for people's health, but also I don't even think it's going to have the economic results. Lots of economists don't think that it's going to have the economic results that some of these Republican politicians are thinking, because look, obviously they look out for corporate interests. They're going to continue to do that, but the only thing more important to them than that is the continuation of their careers in politics. And so they're willing to roll the dice on reopening, even if it means that people die, the chance that it might be better economically, not the certainty that it's going to be better economically, could be an absolute disaster. Many businesses are going to be the site for the spread of coronavirus. It's going to be tracked to them, since we've got these people who are tracking contact now around the country. How many businesses are going to want long-term for their reputation to be tied in with the fact that there was a huge outbreak of coronavirus at, AMC theaters or whatever, the businesses that they're inspiring to open right now? So at the end of the day, yes, they're watching out for the corporations, but they're more so watching out for themselves, and they're willing to let it all burn down. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.